M.B. Haynes was Marion B. Haynes. He was born in Asheville. As a young man in 1921, decided he was going to start an electrical contracting business. In the early 30s, he turned out to be one of the first members on the board for the North Carolina Board of Examiners of Electrical Contractors. So he was a leader in electrical contracting in North Carolina. We have license number 3-U, and numbers 1 and number 2 have been out of business for a number of years. I'm Fred Lewis. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer. I came to work at M.B. Haynes in 1981. Mr. Haynes actually died at a fairly young age with a heart attack, and then just a week or two later, his engineer died. So his widow was left with a company and not an engineer. And she called Ellis Kennedy and said, "This has all happened to us. Have you got any ideas on how we could get an engineer on board?" Mr. Kennedy said, "I actually have a son that would like to look at a different venture." So Ellis Kennedy Jr. moves back to North Carolina and becomes involved as the engineer for M.B. Haynes Corporation. Well, then M.B. Jr. wound up also dying at a very early age. And at that time, Mr. Kennedy was able to execute a buy-sell agreement, and in 1966, he became the owner of M.B. Haynes Corporation. So the Kennedy family then came on, and in the same way that Mr. Haynes got his son involved, Mr. Kennedy got his sons involved. So Brett and Buzzy Kennedy and Ellis Kennedy were the owners of M.B. Haynes Corporation. As they began to look at an exit strategy, it became an ESOP corporation. That's an employee stock ownership program. In 2015, so we had the Haynes family, the Kennedy family, and now we've got the ESOP family.
The most favorite things that we found while we were doing some research about the 100 years since M.B. Haynes has been around was an article in the Asheville Citizen about when many of the men in this area, business owners, had to go do war duties. And so their wives stayed behind and took over running their businesses while they were gone. And so they too were kind of serving the war effort as well to keep things going here. Rosella Haynes stepped fully into the role of head of the company while Mr. Haynes Sr. was away doing electrical work on Army camps. Ruby Haynes was working here in the office at Haynes when she met her husband Gump, and Frances served as corporate secretary for the company. I'm Tamara Edwards, and I'm Vice President of Human Resources. I'm sure the women were unaware that their interests would be a model for future generations. To them, it probably just seemed like a way of life, but in looking back on their legacy, they were participating in setting standards that we still use today.
I feel like women should be more involved in construction. There's not enough, if you ask me. Like, I go on a job site and I'm the only one there, and it's like, I wish I had a girl to talk to. But it's really fun. Like, you get along with the guys really well, and if you're interested in doing construction and you're a girl, I would definitely do it. It's super fun. You will never regret it, ever. Sarah Ann Davis, HVAC assistant.
I don't understand why there aren't more women in construction. When I'm on a job, people are like, wow, a HVAC lady, you know, and people just need to not worry so much about the stereotypical thought of it being a man's job and just go for it. I'm Dina Broglin, HVAC installer / mechanic. I've been in the HVAC trade about 17 years, starting out just shooting from the hip in apartment maintenance. Then I did an apprenticeship with another company for about 11 years, and then I've been with Haynes for a little over a year.
Over the years, there have been many women associated with M.B. Haynes who have made contributions not only to Haynes, but the community. They shared in setting the example of who Haynes is as a company. Rosella Haynes was married to M.B. Haynes Sr., was co-owner of B. Haynes Fashions on Tunnel Road. Ruby Haynes was married to M.B. Haynes Jr., also known as Gump, and became the co-owner of RSVP Designs and Interiors. And Frances Kennedy was married to Ellis Kennedy. She was also the mother to Buzzy and Brett Kennedy. Frances Kennedy was a nurse. She also served in the Army Nurses Corps in World War II for 2 years. The future of women in construction is changing. Historically, women have contributed primarily behind the scenes in support roles, but as more and more women find their niche in the construction industry, we're seeing women growing in trades as seasoned tradespeople, project managers, and in leadership positions.
In our businesses, in the construction businesses, safety is extremely important. It's always been that way. The HAYNES family and the Kennedy family provided leadership in North Carolina and specifically in the Asheville area to make sure that electrical work was done safely, that there were people that were properly trained and certified, and that they were doing things by the National Electrical Code and not just fly-by-night work. So they were instrumental in leading both at the state level and at the local level. Safety's been utmost priority, including back in 1950, we received an award from our insurance company for 2 consecutive years of outstanding safety record. And we take pride in the fact that our people are trained to work safe. We try to have the right kind of a culture to where everybody's looking out for everyone else. Since we're all employee owners, it really behooves us to take care of each other because we care about each other. Mr. Kennedy that talked about the fact that if he takes good care of his employees, the employees are going to take good care of the customers. He put his money where his mouth is in training people that knew nothing about electrical work. He started an in-house electrical apprenticeship program that's one of the oldest in the state. We've always had a dedication to the apprenticeship program in the 40 years that I've been here. I feel like that doing that in-house has been our secret sauce, because in addition to training them the way we want them to be trained, we want them to learn how to do things the HAYNES way.
I chose MB HAYNES apprenticeship program because it was just such a great opportunity for me. Some people either go to college or some people go to a trade school, and this is a free trade school for us that we get offered here. And it's just a great opportunity for us to be able to advance our knowledge and learn more about the trade. I'm Gabe Thompson, electrical apprentice. When I first started here, I didn't really know my left hand from my right hand when it comes to electrical work. I started out from the bottom, base knowledge, and in this apprenticeship program, I definitely learned a lot. They start you from whatever level you come in at, and they build you up. And now I'm here, and I feel like I've learned a lot. My favorite part is the family aspect of it. Everybody's always been nice and respectful of everyone.
My one semi-goal that I always thought I could do was, if I did well enough to take care of the employees and make it a good place to work, that the employees would help me take care of the company.
The Kennedys, when they actually decided to sell the company, they just didn't want anybody to purchase it, and they wanted to protect or to take care of their employees that had basically built the company. They wanted the employees to own it. I am Tony Gentry, Senior Vice President, General Manager of HAYNES Electric Utility. When I first came in '84, I didn't think I'd stay this long, but the more I knew about the company and the more I got involved and they brought you in to the family, it's just a really unique experience that you don't have in a lot of careers and a lot of other places to work.
I'm proud to work here because of the people. When I'm out in the community, I'm complimented if folks see me wearing a logo. They say, "Oh, do you know so-and-so? He works at HAYNES," or "She works at HAYNES." And just so many great people have come through HAYNES, and a lot of good people that are out in the community every day instilling the mission and vision and values that we have. Our HAYNES Cares team volunteers with ABCCM. We have annual food drives for Manna Food Bank, toy drives for ABCCM Angels. We volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. And the team here at HAYNES individually, our employees give countless hours back to the community through programs of their own interest. To say that a company's culture is like family can be fairly common, but here at HAYNES, family, whether by blood or by choice, has always been a core fiber of our existence. I've seen people come together in hard times that only people who consider others their family would step in to help. Family here at Haynes is not just figurative, but literal as well. Rosella and M.B. Haynes Jr. considered their Haynes family so close that even on a trip to Las Vegas, Rosella sent a letter back to the employees here, letting them know that despite the prevailing winds, the trip out there had been rather uneventful. Their tradition of family is carried on through the years. There have been countless family members who've worked here, fathers and sons, mothers and sons, brothers, sisters, cousins, spouses. I could go on, but I think it speaks volumes that people here believe enough in the company to bring their family into it. That's part of how this company is going to continue for generations to come.
In construction, we see a lot of economical ups and downs. So it's great to hear that my son, recognizing that it put him through school and opportunity to go to college if he wanted to go, and he appreciates this company for that and recognizes what it's done for me and my family, which includes him and now includes his son also. My name is Steve Young, Vice President of Haynes Electric. I've been here going on 43 years. My son Daniel Young has been here 20 plus years, and our grandson just started work here in the last 6 months, so it's been a good trip.
People from work were always at the house. We were always doing things together, either working on the house, playing, hunting, helping him, learning tools. It's just always been a family affair. My name is Daniel Young. I began working at M.B. Haynes in June of 1999.
I always mess with Dad telling him I never would work here, and then look at me. They're big shoes to fill, but I try not to back down, and it just makes me work harder. Competitive, got that from them too, so I'm out there to work hard and prove myself. Hi, my name is Andrew Young, and I'm an electrical assistant at M.B. Haynes, and I've been here around 9 months.
When families come to work here, it shows that we care about families. We care about the people that work here as much or more than the work we're performing. And it shows at home, and it leads to other family members wanting to be a part of that.
I think it means a lot. I think it means that values are passed down. It shows how hard they work, and it's kind of special, I guess.
Qualities that we want to be known for: our integrity, our honesty, the relationships that we build, that we want to develop people. It was the recipe for our success. It was putting all of that together, and it had always just been called the Haynes way. If you ask someone, they would simply say, well, we just do it the Haynes way. So that's how the mission, vision, and values got its name of the Haynes way. It's the way that we do things.
As far as Haynes, I'm not sure what his vision was. We don't have many documents from his era, but obviously he was quite influential in electrical contracting in the state and thereby locally, and was heavily involved in revising the City of Asheville's electrical code. The company was incorporated in 1948, so we assume he had plans for growth that were unrealized with his untimely death in 1951 and his son Gump's death in 1965. When Mr. Kennedy came into ownership in 1966, he began to build on the foundation the Haynes family had built. Mr. Kennedy's vision was to take what had started as an electrical company and diversify it to include several different trades. He began to see niche markets where the company could be successful and build long-lasting relationships with customers while giving them one-stop shop options. In 1966, Mr. Kennedy purchased Skyline Construction Company to expand our power line construction capabilities. Eventually, this group became Haynes Electric Utility. It was a natural fit, as the Haynes family already had relationships with Carolina Power and Light and local co-ops like French Broad EMC.
From a little bit of research, it looked like it's dated back to at least the 1940s when we entered into a contract with M.B. Haynes to do electrical construction work for expanding all of our lines. Back in the 40s, French Broad was really just getting started, expanding in our service territory. Those folks back then didn't have anything, so we were in a big rush to try to get as many people served as quickly as possible. And M.B. Haynes played a vital role in doing that. It's difficult to find a contractor that you can trust and have a valued relationship with. And we've always found that with M.B. Haynes. Everyone there, their crews have been outstanding over the years, doing some very difficult work for us here in the mountains of western North Carolina.
The utility group grew and expanded to include traffic signals, roadway lighting, and ball field lighting. In 1972, he added a burglar and fire alarm group that eventually became HAYNES Technologies. H&M Constructors, our general contracting group, was added in 1975. Years later, we added H&M Constructors Industrial, HAYNES Heating and Cooling, and HAYNES Plumbing. We continued to grow with the most recent additions of HAYNES Solar, HAYNES Fire Stop, and HAYNES Controls. Because of the vision of diversifying our business interests and continually building on long-term relationships, we've been able to grow while staying primarily in Western North Carolina. The long-term relationships with customers are extremely important to us. We don't want to have customers for one job, we want customers for life. We've been able to do that with both of the major hospitals here as far as Mission and St. Joe's and some of the surrounding hospitals. We've done that with small businesses. One of the cool newspaper articles we ran across from the 1960s was about the grand opening for Wink's Drive-In on Tunnel Road, where the electrical work was performed by M.B. Haynes Electric. It showcases a long-term relationship that started decades ago.
It goes back before I was born. My grandfather, along with my dad and uncle. My father and my uncle had come home from World War II. They ventured, of course, into the drive-in restaurant business, which would have been in probably the mid-50s. And when they were looking to build it and do work on it, of course, Haynes would have been at the top of the list because they knew Gump Haynes, the owner at the time, and my dad was a close friend with Ellis Kennedy. M.B. Haynes Electric was known for always doing very good work that you could count on. And of course, the reason we always do business with Haynes Electric and Haynes Plumbing and now the entire Haynes company is because of the quality of the work. We've always been extremely pleased with working with Haynes.
And where M.B. Haynes Corporation started out as simply an electrical contracting company, now there's 10 divisions, so we can serve any type of building need that a customer has.
M.B. Haynes has always had to be flexible. That's part of what makes us successful. Being flexible, being open-minded, being open to new technologies, emerging technologies, this company has weathered so much. But one thing that this company has that has been one of the primary reasons we've been successful is its spirit of optimism. We're always going to come out on top. You know, it's such a big deal that we have reached 100 years, that we have been able to weather all kinds of storms. We've always been able to adapt and diversify, and I think that is what's led to us being 100 years old and being successful at it.
As we think about the next 100 years, it's like we're going down the road and we've got this big windshield in front of us of all the different places we can go, and yet we've got this rearview mirror where we can look back and see where we've been and make sure that our decisions that we make as the culture that we want to foster and grow, yes, we're honoring what we've done in the past, but we're also ready to change as we move into the next century of service.
We have people that live and breathe quality, commitment, and character. And it's interesting because even since I've been here, I've seen so many changes in the world and in the community and in our company. And I just wonder what Mr. Haynes would think about it now with how much we've grown, but still instilling those small company, small family-owned company kind of values every day of just trying to serve our customers and be sure that they're taken care of and going above and beyond anything that we can do to serve and help them.